And on the dawn of the third game, look to the desk. It is I, Nightmare, the host, after doing battle with the color casting role. Of course, I'm joined by Lexi, also known as Masked Swan, who's going to be filling in my shoes and retaining his boots and pulling himself up by those bootstraps. It will be dearest brother, initialized Sam Hapgood. We have AXIZ versus Burning Core, 0-2 versus now 1 and 2 in these teams. What are your initial thoughts on this matchup?
I'm of the opinion that AXIZ just had their normal teething period we see in every single split. We saw it in spring. They have a teething period. They then become a very strong competitive team towards. So I think they just needed 1 week to kind of get that. And they didn't have the easiest first week as well. So I'm confident in AXIZ.
They didn't. Yeah, AXIZ had a rough schedule, said as much over on our Twitter as well. But of course, Sam, going over to you for this one, they didn't exactly. Well, this last split, the one in spring, was the only one that we've seen from them where they've really found any degree of success. How likely is it that they're going to replicate that in this split?
I think they're still in a difficult position in that they are still running Uenyan, as I believe, down in the AD carry role. They've still got Natsume as a substitute up in the top side. There are still these issues with getting players back from Korea into Japan right now, and that is going to hurt them. It is. And Burning Core looked pretty good, to be honest, versus the side of the Jesters here. So that could be difficult yet.
Yeah, they did. And I'm going to go back to you for this one, actually, because actually, for me, it wasn't necessarily one of their substitutes which suffered the most in these games they've played so far. For me, it's been Hoglet that's really been under the cosh. What do you make of Hoglet versus Rampant Once from that last game?
Once has just been playing these carry junglers really aggressively. And not just that, it's been the way he's been looking for invades to find farm leads. He did it really aggressively versus CGA, found big CS leads against New Blood Unica on the Echo. We also saw what was something a little bit trickier in the sort of the second game where Hachimachi was around at the right place to the counter gank, but it didn't matter. Kindred still got the farm, still got involved in kills even as she fell too. So I think it could be a bit of a difficult one for Hoglet. He'll need to step up from last week, that's for sure.
Speaking of getting involved in kills, getting into the nitty-gritty of things, Yujo, mid laner for Burning Core, also had a stellar game on that. Lulu didn't die, perfect KDA, undefined KDA in that game. So Lexi, what do you make of Gadiaru versus Yujo?
Well, Yujo has played this Lulu twice. The first time he played it, he looked very suspect and I mean, granted, the whole of Burning Core looked a little bit suspect, but I mean, he didn't have any impact the first time he played that Lulu. Now we've seen it a second time.
It was against Ardia on the Cassidy, though, so maybe give him some slack for that.
But this is going to be Gadiaru, and this is a man that we've actually had very high impressions of, and I believe Gadiaru is definitely not far from that kind of stage, and definitely on something like a Cassidy, which I think Gadiaru could play as well. Could just do a repeat against Burning Core and go, well, I can play carry mid laners, I don't mind. I can also play LeBlanc, Zoe, and all these champions which
hold my Corki.
Against Corki, which against the Lulu, you're kind of okay with, in my eyes. So I
agree. I think that Gadiaru's had a good showing in this first games of week 1. Of course, he did have that awkward matchup versus both V3 and CJ, two of our stronger teams in the LJL. So kind of wrapping up this section a bit more, as I'm sure we're going to get into Champions League sooner rather than later. Going to have to go up to those predictions, guys. Who have you got?
I'll go first, and I will remain true to the narwhal, or there is a narwhal.
Yes.
That is AXIZ. I'm saying AXIZ.
Fear their horns. It's going to be AXIZ for Lexi. So initialize your prediction, please.
I will also go towards AXIZ, but I think it'll be because there's a fair advantage in the mid lane to be found for the squad of AXIZ. But then again, I'm a big fan of Watts, and he's already gone for a 1v9 performance today. Maybe he can pull off another.
Once v9, that's what we'll definitely coin it. Yeah, I'm particularly interested myself into what's going to happen with the pick and ban. Maybe we'll finally see some Kalista picked up as well. Varus, of course, was let through by Burning Core. They didn't ban it themselves. We haven't seen too much Pekram today. There are plenty of things kind of been left on the table. What are you guys thinking might crop up that we haven't seen already today?
We still haven't seen that Kalista, which surprises me greatly. I think that's a pretty powerful pick that's just kind of fallen to the wayside.
That's because we haven't cast CGA today in Gango.
We haven't seen a Syndra or a Zoe yet on our side of casting, so I mean, those are two huge picks that I'm grossly just disappointed they haven't been picked. LeBlanc as well for us hasn't been picked as well. Like, these are some really high priority picks, and yet we've seen a Katarina, and I'm just like,
and Malzahar.
yeah, and my mind's just like, and Lulu, and I'm just like, did these guys not get the memo that there are some really broken mid laners or over-tuned mid laners, as I should say, that just aren't getting picked at the moment?
I think it's fair to say that.
Yeah,
I think
okay, fair
particularly in the
enough.
LJL, we very much appreciate our aggressive mid laners, and Pink has been a bit of a departure from that. It's been interesting to see, of course, fits the Rascal Jester style of play. Of course, they've finished their 2 games and unfortunately fell at 2-0 and 2. This was not the bounce back week for them. The blood is very much in the water around Rascal Jester, and Burning Core picked themselves up a much needed win. We've been talking a lot about how Burning Core very, very nearly missed out on playoffs last split. So what do you need to see from this Burning Core team, even after that win, to really solidify their chances of pushing up into those playoff spots? Either of you guys, I'm happy to take it from either of you.
Aphelios needs to be not the only champion that Yuhi can play, especially when he's actually got a Kindred's Lamb's Respite and a Lulu Wildgrowth around him to kind of prop him up. Yuhi needs to be stable on more champions. That's what I really need to see from Burning Core if they want a chance.
Okay. Lexi, you've got any thoughts on that?
I agree. Granted, though, I would argue Yuhi actually had a very disappointing game, and if it wasn't for once actually kind of playing the carry, they would have lost that game. I would also kind of like to see a return to form for Ray Farkey, personally, playing far more of these carry top laners that we was so known that he could basically find wins on. Maybe this is a reason why he's not playing those, because they found a win without him doing that, and maybe that's why he's not the only carry on the team. But I'd like to see him play an Aatrox occasionally. We saw great things from Appaman last week.
GP.
So yeah, or a GP. There's a lot, or even a Darius. Maybe not the Darius, actually. Cancel that.
Maybe, no. No one wants to see it. No, very focused Darius is an interesting thing. Occasionally you can just pop off and get a win, but we didn't see that in spring, of course. I do love to see these players with their very unique champion pools, and I think that Ray Farkey had a pretty good Maokai game last game. It's definitely up there as probably the best tank in the game right now if you're discounting Ornn. And even then, Maokai can do some things that Ornn can't, just in terms of resetting aggro, dodging some skill shots with that W, the Twisted Advance, and I think that he did pretty well, especially since Yu-Gi-Oh! Is playing these supportive mid laners. So, speaking of supportive mid laners, doesn't this remind you a bit of DFM when they play those kind of styles?
Go on,
they play a lot of Karma.
You're the DFM.
I mean, obviously there's the Karma pick, but I'm not entirely sure I agree with that, in that Seros is much more about kind of wave control mids, because even something like Karma is there in some ways because she can throw out waves and then roam and do stuff, and yes, she supports the AD carry, but I see where you're coming from, but I don't entirely agree. We've yet to see the Lulu pick, which Yujo's been indexing in super heavily too.
Has been. So at what point should Lulu be banned?
I think she's quite strong. Potentially just get rid of it. If you want to force Yujo into something else, might not be a bad idea.
I mean, I think if you just play an assassin with a pretty aggressive jungler in your team, I don't think you necessarily need to worry about it. I mean, Burning Core have been proven that the Lulu can be weak, so that's where I am.
Anyway, after a long-awaited pause, we finally have ourselves into Champion Select. So I will retire from my first pre-game of the day and leave you guys to cast this Champion Select. Good luck, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again, Nymera. Of course, that leaves myself initialized along with Master Swan as my new color caster to take us into AXIZ versus Burning Core. And it will be AXIZ on the blue side, with Natsume the substitute up in the top side, Hoglet in the jungle, Gariaru in that mid lane, and then Uenyan and Corporal as the erstwhile kind of janky bot lane.
And for Burning Core, we have Ray Farkey in that top lane, once in the jungle, Yu-Gi-Oh! In that mid lane, and Yuhi and Proud in the bot lane. And some bans have come through, sir, haven't they?
They have. What a surprise is, in fact, the Lulu ban. Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't get his hands on that. And the set away from likely Proud, if we're honest.
Only Proud.
It's just taken off.
Well, it could be Ray Farkey.
Indeed. Indeed, the LeBlanc and the Varus are pretty standard bans, from Burning Core. I think Varus in particular, they let it through one game, perhaps not willing to do it a second.
No, I mean, they were able to win that game, though I think that was a little bit down to stone luck, personally. And the Aphelios as the last ban, as we saw Karma being the last ban for AXIZ. A lot of open picks. Ornn's around, Syndra's still open. I mean, Ezreal's around, definitely an Unyan champion. If hopefully he plays it on solo queue. Oh.
Aha, there it is. You called it. Might be dropping in here. Of course, it's just the hover right now. There's still things like the Misfortune that he went to last time, but
That's
it will
true.
be locked in. There's still a little bit of room, perhaps, and I say this in a kind of nervous way, that Ezreal to be moved around. Maybe a mid lane Ezreal, but I highly doubt it. It's the Volley Bear being hovered by Ray Farkey, but we'll have to see where they actually go towards. There's a few options they could think about.
I just noticed
They've
something.
got some things. Yes.
I just noticed something.
Yeah.
Burning Core,
What did you notice?
the Yuhi's main and only champion, has been banned by Burning Core, and they're forcing him onto the Callista for the first time for him this season.
That's certainly interesting. We're going to have to see how that goes because, of course, we've been asking for a bit more Callista. Yuhi wasn't the AD carry that came to my mind as someone who was going to play it, but they have locked in. It's aggressive in lane, can trade pretty damn hard. Echo, for once, being locked in as well, and this guy had a killer game on it versus CGA. It wasn't quite enough to bring them the victory, but it certainly got them a lot of early advantages.
So Yuumi is still around for AXIZ, and AXIZ could be poising potentially for a carry game. Syndra isn't terrible for Yuumi, but not brilliant, but there's not a great amount of mid laners outside of some assassins. We see that Syndra.
That would be an interesting thing.
And now we're going to be seeing a bunch of different picks. Echo was banned versus once last game, so
it was
getting that pick
up.
I'm
excited to see that again.
And the Yuumi,
well, there you go. Yeah, there you go. You called it out. Yuumi is pretty damn strong with Ezreal. The Zumi bot lane does disgusting things with poke. Is super safe. Can jump forward to throw down final chapters. You know how it works. You throw a stun from Syndra on top of it as well, and that's just a lot of damn CC from a long way away. Burning Core got to think about their last pick, and the tried and true CGA bot lane of Callista Nautilus is being suggested here.
Yeah, I mean, also Nautilus versus any form of Yuumi lane is normally a pretty common thing to see, so it makes sense. I don't hate it. It's just kind of the nature of this. I'm expecting a lot of bans to come in regarding the jungle, getting rid of the graves that has been left open all this time. I doubt that AXIZ is going to be allowed to have that, and potentially another carry jungler, because that's what you love to do on Yuumi. Wouldn't, yeah, God, it might be crazy, but Olaf as well.
Olaf is a pretty decent shot. I could see Nidalee being another one they could think about. Kindred might be pretty good here as well as another bit of safety. Like, there are a few options here. It depends what Hoglet's been kind of going towards. I mean, we saw the Fiddlestick topper. There was a ban against Fiddlesticks with or ban against Hoglets with that Fiddlesticks in a couple games last week. Not option 2. AXIZ, they've got to think about it a little bit themselves as mid laners and top laners are still on the table, and of course, there it is. Ray Farkey's Darius taken off the table.
I think that's just partly respect of every top laner. This also, if it's coming in the second wave of banning, clearly people haven't been banning it in the second wave. He's been picking it up, and then they've just been winning lanes. So clearly this is a respect ban from scrims, right? Because people wouldn't just keep banning it because it's a comfort pick of his. Like, this has to also be like a scrim thing, right? I have to assume. What do you think, Initialize?
I think there's got to be some truth that. I mean, we know, like with it, Gaia as well, so that there are certain things which Burning Core clearly have threatened before. We know that Valky does go towards Darius. We know that he loves it as a counter pick. I can see why it's a respect ban. I mean, we're on the second phase of picks and bans here, and there's still mid and top lane, and it's just the Aatrox blind pick here. I kind of like it, to be honest.
I mean, it's pick Aatrox, pick Gangplank. There's a few others. I mean, Wukong is still available and decided to not pick it. Very much potentially a Natsume pick up in that top lane. So lots of options. Seeing a Jace being hovered into that Renekton. Oh no, of course the Crocodile. We've already seen the Crocodile do wonders today with Ebby, even after a shaky early game. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Well, there you go. It will be locked in, and Natsume did find good team fights as you were suggesting.
Oh,
Please,
Corporal.
oh please,
Stop
lock
doing
it
this to us.
in.
I know you watch us back, and
Oh,
I know
yeah,
you do
Googly's the
this.
Evelyn main, but it would be pretty interesting if they locked it in. They do, however, go towards what appears to be a Silas jungle,
Mm-hmm.
which is
That
pretty
would be.
damn good.
Well, unless this wants
Let's
to
see
be a Syndra jungle, which would be big brain, but I don't think AXIZ are that crazy. I don't think he's that crazy.
Don't think so. Well, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. We've still got to. Proud thinking about locking in a Jace now for Ray Farky. You wanted well, not Ray Farky, I apologize. That's likely to be Yu-Gi-Oh with the Jace mid and the Aatrox top. But well, that's a bit of a shift in tone from Burning Core.
This is a shift, and now I've got huge questions. Why? There's no way. They have to be switching around at the last second for this Jace to be mid. They have to. They have to be. We've got 5 seconds almost on the clock. There's no way that this is a good matchup for Aatrox.
1. There it is. That'll be Aatrox into Syndra with Yu-Gi-Oh! New Blood picking that up. Aatrox is pretty tanky, can probably survive a lot of the burst early on before Syndra gets there, and Jace will then get priority potentially against this Renekton, which desperately does want to shove in early. So the range into Renekton, if unless Renekton can get on top of the Jace, maybe there's room to punish there.
I mean, I can see the method to the madness there. I can. But at the same time, I don't like the method of the madness, in all fairness. It's kind of almost saying, well, Hoglet's never going to get a successful gank onto me. And this is our rookie mid laner versus a well-respected mid laner who's definitely taken it to some of the best, including Arlie and Syros. So I can't help but feel a little bit nervous for this mid Aatrox personally.
We'll have to keep our own. It's certainly raised our eyebrows here on the cast. For me as well, it's going to be Ray Farky, one of our better top laners, one of our more aggressive top laners, back to his more natural tastes on a Jace top lane with once on the Echo. That is an aggressive top side of the map. Hell, it's an aggressive bottom side of the map with the Kalista Nautilus. Throw a parallel convergence in there, and that's a hell of a dive squad as well. I think partly the Aatrox might just be picked in mid to offer a little bit of safety, tankiness, a way that they can kind of ignore mid lane because they'll be wanting to play around those side lanes a little more.
Sure, and I think that's a fair place. And also, Once is on this Echo, so they're going to have that mixed damage through that and the Jace. I mean, Proud on this Nautilus is also pretty scary. It really does depend on how long this game goes. AXIZ have kind of drafted a team where they've got mid to late game power. The problem is, once they hit late game, Renekton is going to kind of slide off a little bit. But at that point, also, Yu-Gi-Oh! Will have also slide off on this Aatrox. So they're kind of trading that, and they're saying R4 is going to be better than your 4 in the mid to late game. And I have to admit, I think they're right with that.
Well, we'll have to work out whether that is the case. They've got the Ezreal Yumi combo that's pretty obnoxious. Add healing onto Silas's healing, why don't you? That sounds pretty disgusting. And it's another different look at a carry jungle. We saw once go towards that edge pick of the Echo last week, and he's picked it back up here. Hoglet's gone towards the Sylas, and he's got a few tasty ultimates to pick up. I'm looking at Depth Charge, I'm looking at World Ender. Chrono Break is always nice for a Sylas to add more of that survivability on. I could see that. I mean, hell, if he can steal away the Kalista ult as well, depending on who he decides to use the Black Spear, I believe it's called on. Maybe the Renekton might be a decent one to steal for that as well. So, some good options here for Hoglet if he can find his way to a couple items on this Sylas.
Yeah, he's definitely got a bunch of options. It's remained to be seen how many of these are going to be viable. But at that same sense, having a bunch of different interesting ultimates, you've definitely got the World Ender, like you said, you've got the Nautilus. There's versatility in the Sylas, and especially come 6, Sylas is going to have great gang potential against a bunch of these lanes, in my eyes. So I think it's kind of going to be in the method of the madness, and I do think that jungle matchup is going to be a very deciding factor, a factor which you hinted at in our pregame.
Yeah, I mean, it's two carry junglers, two
Mm.
kind of potentially quite snowbally carry junglers as well. An Echo that gets behind doesn't really survive all that long, even with the chrono break. Similarly with a Sylas, we've seen some Sylas jungles in the LJL get off to rocky starts. And looking for, of course, AXIZ. They've got an aggressive top with the Renekton. They've got a lot of CC with the Syndra. Could be looking to play around that top side for Burning Core. I'm looking at an Echo with a Jace to try and get safely ahead in the top side. I'm looking at a Callista Nautilus lane in the bottom lane to think about diving down as well. So be interested to see where the junglers decide to path around and put their pressure in, because this could get interesting, Mass One.
It could indeed, as we get onto this riff for AXIZ facing off against Burning Core, and I do have to appreciate Natsume's skin choice personally. I do appreciate the pink.
I missed which skin it was behind the banner coming off the screen. So I'll have to wait and see what it is. Unyan has walked forwards here and has to flash away from the dredge line from Proud. That's going to be a bit of a sheepish or run away from the erstwhile AD carry.
And that's wicked bad. So Proud Flash is okay. That's you can normally go, well, it's flash for flash. Yeah, it's awkward because it's on the AD carry, but it's still a trade. That's the only flash in bot lane because Corporal is on a Yuumi, which just makes it it just exacerbates the problem so much more, because what are they meant to do? If they get caught, does Ezreal just have to take his arcane shift just like level 1 just in case once Proud lands that and once comes down for a level 2 gank, unless he starts blue side? It just makes it super awkward. Does seem though that once is starting red side, so they'll have a little bit of time to get ready before the proverbial dredge line comes through for the death of the kitty cat and the high school battle mage that is Ezreal's current skin.
All right, well, we'll have to see where it plays off. We see the pull into the bush here. The level 1 will be aggressively played from Yuhi and Proud, who've gone straight to lane. They're not having to leash. That will get them with the push early on. And with, of course, Sylas starting on the bot side, it means he will not be around for a gank early on, likely on. It's going to be about a 63% win rate or chance to win here from the Twitter vote. That's pretty good going. AXIZ, of course, picked up their fandom over the last split or two with some impressive underdog stories.
Oh,
The other thing I do want to keep a note on before we kind of go back to that Twitter vote is I want to see where the Echo ends up. Is it going to be a split jungle, or are we going to just see them go straight across? Because, of course, Echo knows that the Sylas started bot side, but I think Sylas is likely quick enough that won't be an issue.
I think this is going to be a full clear from once. You can see him already doing Krugs after doing the Raptor camp. So this feels like a full clear. It's going to be a slow clear. And Echo is a farming jungler in the early gamers. Oh no, Corporal.
That's okay. He's a Yuumi. He doesn't care too much. Can hop back on at some point. Actually, Yuhi took a massive trade in return as well. And when you're Yuumi can be using that drop on, but never mind that, because Natsume's now in trouble. We're watching as Once has come in, and it will be first blood to the Jace after Natsume tried to get the 1v1 versus Ray Farkey. You knew the Echo was starting up there. That was risky.
They did know he was starting up there. The early vision came through. Proud landing these tread lines pretty consistently, but Unyan went for the early arcane shift to get away from them sometimes.
All right, well, Natsume's back, slice, diced, and a big Cold Meek there puts Ray Farkey's health bar very, very low, but he's got the range. Maybe he can stay alive. Gary just around in the mid lane as the bottom Scuttle Crab is started by Once, but he's on a ward, and Hoglet is looking to contest with Gary. Not a lot of mana on this Syndra, though, so it could be a little risky yet. Does secure that Scuttle Crab. Currently a CS advantage for Sylas, but of course Echo already involved in that early kill will have got himself a Dark Harvest stack, off to a very happy place.
Yeah, it's this is a really early interesting game. So we saw obviously that early gank that kind of just went perfectly because Natsume was so pushed up and was doing so much damage over to Ray Farkey as Gadiaru takes some poke from Yu-Gi-Oh, even though there's a huge minion wave that then decided to hit Yu-Gi-Oh. So not the greatest suggestion to do that, sir. Creeps hurt. Creeps will kill. Maybe that should be their tagline.
Creeps kill, especially early on in the game. we have going to have to see where this continues to play out in the mid lane. It's a slight CS advantage for the Syndra. He goes back early-ish on, as course got the teleport. Isn't going to need it though, because of where the wave is. So it's kind of a free reset for that Dark Seal, which does, of course, allow for the increased healing effects of potions and the like. So that's not a bad early back, I feel.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the kind of nature where Gadiadu first back goes back, gets that ruby, not ruby crystal, sapphire crystal, as well as that Dark Seal and a fairy charm as well, and really just kind of setting himself up for going, I'm going to do an early back, I have TP, I can do a very quick back, and I'm just going to abuse Yu-Gi-Oh in this matchup.
You're going to abuse him as much as you can. The range of Syndra is pretty obnoxious. Of course, Aatrox is tanky, gets a lot of healing, so as long as he can survive and keep outside of the full burst range, should be okay in this matchup, even if it is currently leading to about a 10 CS lead. So Gary playing this one out pretty well. But there is, I was about to say a big CS lead in the top side, but actually it's probably only about 5 or so for this Jace. But the first blood there is pretty big, and the pickaxe, the longsword, is bigger, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right. It's just kind of the nature of when they went back, when they died. Remember, Natsume was able to get about 22 CS, so it would have been enough for that longsword, but and the ward, but has not been able to go back since. But Rayfaki has gone back and has already used his TP as well. So it's just kind of that awkward place of going back and going, well, I can go back and get more than you can because I got first blood and that 400 gold, which equals a pickaxe, apparently.
Equals a pickaxe, so that's a great space for Jace, but he has had to play a little bit safer here as Hoglet was looking for a bit of a potential dive, but once. Now around and about, maybe looking to punish this Renekton again, but level 6 has been hit for that champion, so it would be a little bit difficult to get onto, and Natsume needs to think about finding his way out of here. His ward is cleared out due to the sweeper, and that means that vision is put down and denied in swift order.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was almost just a trade. Hoglet coming up, maybe trying to be a sneaky boy, or maybe trying to hope that he might be able to target once in this jungle, but Gadiaru leaving makes once a little bit suspicious about what's going on.
Yeah, there is no vision. Yuji wandering around. Hoglet's here, so is Natsume coming down. We'll look where the Jace is as well, but he's got to walk face first into a Renekton, and that was risky. Rayfaki using the acceleration gates to back away. Dominus popped from Natsume, but that will be that ultimate down. UJ has got the World Ender running, trying to get in on this fight. Can he get onto Hoglet? Flashes in for the Dark from Hoglet, and a decent stun onto Proud prevents that roam from getting all that much. We're looking at a flash burn from Hoglet and a flash burn from Yu-Gi-Oh, but that's it so far. Proud is still looking, though. Can he find anything? No, he's just going to stop in that bush and look for the reset. Still around, so maybe actually they still think about this. There we go, they found the hook, and this is the fight. Once gets the second kill there of the game for Burning Core, and it's off an aggressive roam from Proud, who's been playing these last few games super well.
That was just phenomenal. Proud was so patient. I think Hoglet just barely came onto vision for Proud during his recall and was just like, well, once you get 2 steps closer, we'll just kill him, and kill him they did. Beautiful work from Prance and Proud there, and really does make up for Proud's roam that almost was in vain at that point.
Well, it's a kill, it's 2 jungle camps, and it's a Sylas that has been put a ways behind. He's already died once, and that's a scary place for the Sylas. It's also brought us up to about 1,000 gold lead for Burning Core as we kind of near that 10-minute mark, about a minute to go before that. Check in on 1 or 2 items. It's Tyr and Sheen in for the Ezreal. That's good news for that particular champion. Lost chapter in for the Cinder as well. It is, however, the full Manamune up for the Jace. That's what that pickaxe indicated, and that's in. But most importantly is Echo, who has already got a completed jungle item. But never mind that, because Hoglet is here, has got level 6, has got a depth charge, but used it on the person who could be Fate's Called. So it amounts to absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I was wondering for a split second where it went, and I remembered who he is playing, and suddenly my question was answered before you even said it. I mean, once so far also on that topic of you brought up in regards to items, also completed jungle item, whereas Hoglet hasn't had that opportunity yet. There is just a disparity currently coming through items, purely just through that small gold lead that's currently happened for Burning Core. against AXIZ so far.
And Natsume does avoid a look at a gank down there. He was wise to back away from the 3-man roam of Burning Core. It'll be tower plates traded in top for tower plates traded in bot. And Nymera has called it the 2-plate rule. And it is 2 plates you must get on certain champions or you have failed in the laning phase. Jace has just picked up his 2nd plate and has thus succeeded. Congratulations, Jace. You have made yourself a useful champion, once continuing to be really irritating and preventing Natsume from getting anywhere near this minion wave. With the Rift Herald summoned as well, it's not just 2 plates, it's the full damn tower.
So, Initialize, you highlighted in that top lane that Rayfarki had a 5 gold lead, 5 CS lead at one point, and that was a relatively acceptable thing as Natsume is just eating it all.
He survives just about, but had to burn the flash to get out the parallel convergence there, and the Dominus is down as well. 2nd charge came on to that tier 2, and I know where you were going with that, Alexi, yeah. So I think I'll take over a little bit, because it is the CS discrepancies I think you were wanting to point out.
Exactly.
Bit of a fight continuing. No, once Gozer finds his way out, and Hoglet's just desperately tried to make sure he doesn't have all his blue side jungle stolen every time it believe well spawns. Proud, and Yuhi thinking about going in, though. That's a good arcane shift that gets Yuyan out of trouble, but not before the Ren comes through for some nasty levels of damage onto the Ezreal.
So, Unyan...
You can talk about CS discrepancies now, but
I mean, you highlighted it. I mean, that was kind of the point in and of itself. I mean, Galliardo also has about a 25 CS gold lead now over Yu-Gi-Oh in this mid lane, but that's not particularly unexpected through the range advantage that Syndra and Punish can offer, and Yu-Gi-Oh just kind of has to respect that. Oh, he's going to die, especially if Hoglet comes in at any point. Though, there is a 2-level difference between Hoglet and Once, and it's not even like Hoglet's close. He's going to need at least 1, maybe 2 camps until he's actually going to be level 7, which is a highlighted moment.
And that is something I have been so complimentary of for once over the last week or so. His Echo game versus Unica was really good. He found similar advantages there. He was doing pretty great things in the last game as well. On the Kindred, we saw how far ahead eventually he got of Hatchmeta in the farm numbers. This guy, when he can look for advantages and look to sort of like steamroll via 1v9s and aggressive invades that starve out the enemy jungler, becomes a true terror. Another is there. Uinyan taken very, very low. Corporal uses the final chapter, hopping and to keep it running before hopping back on. And that will mean 3 summoners burned, but no death. And the Echo is roaming around, but doesn't find anything. And that'll mean Burning Core get access to more plates, more pressure on towers, and it'll be 2 plates down in this bot side, I think, if they can get a hold of it. Oh, Nauta or so away, but they've got another wave coming in, so they'll still look for it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Roam down. Going to try and get onto Hoglet here, who has got to sort of abscond himself away.
I mean, they can just keep hard pushing this. They should. They've already taken top tower, remember? They've already got 5 plates all over to Rayfarki. That man has got so much gold in his back pocket. Basically, more than 3 kills, basically, in his back pocket through the first tower, as well as also all those plays. They keep pushing bot lane. The Burning Core are just going to have a huge gold lead purely just through towers, not even the kills they even need.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's also just worth saying that, you know, as the Jace got to roam mid, because he pushed the wave out so far, it meant that Galliardo couldn't get anything in mid, and Burning Core were free to play that aggressively around bot. That's just smart plays and rotations. It's what you get for having the advantage you do and the lane shove you do with that Jace. Smart stuff from Burning Core, and quite impressive considering where they were at last week. Hoglet is in trouble. He's going to take a lot of damage. He's down a lot of levels right now. He's the same level as Proud, by the way.
I would actually give it to Proud if they had to 1v1 at the moment.
Stopwatch Chain Vest. He's got an old magic mantle as well.
Yeah.
I think I probably agree, actually. At least, Silas has at least got himself away to the runic echoes and the challenging smites. So there's some there. Corporal has to be really careful here, because once has found his way over the wall, says, hey, cat, I'm not much of a cat person. I'm much more of an Ezreal person. Hey, Ezreal, sign my album cover, because I'm the real superstar here. Steps forward, and, well, that was a bit brutal. Uinyan goes down for his first death, and this will be a second tower over to Burning Core with AXIZ just shoved up far too far, and the Echo hopping over walls.
So that's 1k. That's above 1k gold lead just in tower plates for Burning Core. I don't know if we've got a team outside of Burning Core who are this aggressive at getting this many turret plates. I would definitely need to check in time for our podcast, which you should
maybe
100% should check out. Yes, absolutely, maybe V3. Check out that stat when we find it out for the podcast. But what is going on? That's 2 games in a row from Burning Core where they just dismantle turrets aggressively.
And I'm aware this is against a substitute stand-in AD carry. I'm aware that this is 1 game sample size, but Yuhi has looked pretty good on this Kalista. He's got a pretty good CS lead here. We're going to see an easy Drake secure as well. AXIZ thought about coming in, but they can't get there in time. I know Hoglet, even with the Yuumi on top of them, doesn't find anything of note there. But yeah, that is a 10 CS lead for this Kalista right now. That is a second tower that came down there as well. Credit to Yuhi after we were calling him out. This has been a pretty good game thus far.
I mean, in all fairness to Eunyan, one, this is in his flex role, in solo queue flex role. So in all fairness, he's playing phenomenally. He's playing to like almost a world-class, well, basically a world-class level in his secondary role, which he probably didn't ever scrim for until it was basically realized, mate, you're going to have to play AD carry. And they're just like, oh, okay. Playing Ezreal, a high skill-intensive, very expressive champion as well, picking up some decent games on it so far. Yes, he's died once, but I mean, that's just a forgivable thing of just learning the lane, trying to get good to a professional level in your secondary role. I'm willing to at least concede the fact, but my god, is Burning Core and Rayfaki, it's good to see him on a carry again.
He's been pretty damn good. He's up 40 CS, and Burning Core are up about 5,000 gold here as we've crested the 15-minute mark. It is a lot of items here. It's Blade of the Ruin King in for Kalista. It's Black Cleaver in for this Aatrox. It's an item and a half on this Jason, item and a half on this Echo, who's 2-0-1 by the by. Gary Arrow just back and just pick up a Luden's Echo. That's good news. Ezreal's got an item and a half himself. Got that mana. Muramana at this point, or is it Mana Moon? I forget which way around the transformation is.
It's the mana one, and then it goes Mura. Yeah, it goes mana first. Mana first.
Ah, so maybe Mana. It is Mana Moon that way. In that case, in for this as well as the Ezreal. Athene's in for the Yuumi as well. So some pretty big ticket items across the board, and it has prevented this next Drake fight, whenever it will be, from being a complete between the 2 teams. But we can see that there is pretty big level discrepancies between Burning Core and the rest of AXIZ. Gariadu is doing well, but Eunyan, Hoglet, Corporal, all pretty far down.
So, looking at just some stuff I've got on my other monitor, because, you know, multiple monitor setup allows you to do multiple things while checking my production notes.
Well, then what is on?
What have I found out is Rayfaki is 2.2k above Natsume. Once is currently 2.3k above Hoglet. Yuhi, 600 gold above Eunyan. Proud, 400 gold above Corporal. Only Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh no, only Gadiaru is slightly ahead, but it's so small, it doesn't really want to show it to me very often, as we're getting a huge push here from Burning Core.
We are getting a big dive in. It'll force the Fates call. They went very, very deep, and it will, with that second Herald they picked up, secure Burning Core, that mid lane tier 1. At the cost of an ultimate or 2 and a flash from Proud, but I think that's probably worthwhile. Once throws the parallel convergence in the bush. That's a massive shock blast onto Eunyan. That's level discrepancies for you. That is 3 levels up for this Jason versus that Ezreal. It stings, man. It really stings.
And that's 3-for-1 turrets. And that's the mid turret. We saw Burning Core really struggling to get that mid turret against Rascal Jester. It took a while for either of those teams to really open up the mid lane. But Burning Core seemed far more comfortable, far more in control. And that 5k gold lead is definitely staying in contention as, well, Rayfaki's just been kind of left alone for the last few minutes.
He has. Here comes once again. Natsume has to run out. The chilling smite slowed him down enough that he got stuck in there. He flashes. He dominuses. Can he stay alive once? Is still looking for it. Gets the kill. Does Chrono break out? The exhaust is even burnt from Corporal, but it is too late along with the heal. And it is a big, Big win for Burning Core.
Does seem that we're getting some slight stuttering from the official stream. This isn't on my end or your
Yeah,
end. This is
I was wondering
just
what
the
was going
official
on there.
stream. Oh, this is the official stream. So it's not on us. Bootleg casting is always a luxury of ours, and sometimes it doesn't always work. Trading bot turret for top turret. Jeez, this is Burning Core looking so in control. And Raifaki almost looked like they allowed Natsume to get away from that, with Raifaki hitting Natsume away with the hammer. I was a bit worried for him there, in my eyes.
Well, True Damage Echo is laying down the beats down on the side, of course, of this Renekton, who is 0-2-0. In a very difficult space. Jace has got 2 items and a serrated Dirk. You can see the gold difference. It's now up to 6,000 for Burning Core.
Oh, God, it's such a slow burn, but it's not even a slow burn because this is 20 minutes in. This is just controlled. This is thought out. This is, well, masterful, honestly, from the side of Burning Core. They've only given over a dragon and 2 turrets so far, but in the sense of that, they're always finding trades, and, well,
Whoa.
that's a definitive opinion from the AI if I've ever seen it before.
It is, and as we crest 20 minutes, we've seen as a 3,000 gold lead apiece for the Jace and the Echo. An Echo who has a Proto Bell and a Sheen and a Dark Seal that is only going up in stacks. What is this? Just gone 20 minutes? That is massive news. He's up 60 CS in the jungle. Hoglet Silent, it is on life support. It has barely got its way. It's not even at a Proto Belt right now, and he's already down, what, an item and a half at best right now. One's still looking for stuff. Maybe he's gone a bit deep this time, but Rayfarki's around, and the final chapter is just out of range. It was a bit of a desperate look. Don't find anything.
So, Once is currently 4 levels above Hoglet. Do we think he can beat his record currently of 5 over Hachimecha? Is it possible?
It's looking that way. Because I don't think... Because at least Hachimecha had found some kill involvement. Found something. AXIZ have got nothing right now. They found 2 turrets and a Drake. But they have got no kills, and they are finding no pressure. Because Once is effectively laning right now. Yeah. Him and Rayfarki are just wandering around and abusing people. Like, who... Once doesn't need the jungle. He's just gonna look for lane CS at this point.
Well, he's taking both jungles as well at the same time.
Right? It is a very, very difficult space for the side of AXIZ right now, and it's not like Echo scales poorly either. This guy will continue to get stronger. He's nearly at a Lich Bane, probably about what 1,600 gold, I think, is probably, or 1,650 probably for the combine there. He's still got to pick up a blasting one, so maybe a little bit more to go on that one, but that's pretty big news. And, we're looking at a Silas jungle that, once again, is not finding much success in the LJL.
Agreed. This, though, is the first time Silas has been seen worldwide this split. So, well, it's only been played once before, I believe, actually, worldwide. And this doesn't look like a particularly great showing from this Silas either. From Hoglet, Once is still 3 levels ahead, and he's not far off of being 4 levels ahead again. It's just back-breaking.
That is 3 items and boots for Echo versus a completed jungle item, a book, a red gem, and some brown bags. That is where this game is at. That is where the lead is at. Look at the top lane as well, and that Jace isn't that far behind the Echo in terms of dominance versus their opponent. Top side of the map for Burning Core has smashed AXIZ thus far in the game.
And this is almost a 7k gold lead, as Once is just going so deep onto Hoglet.
Oh, here we go. Monster's doing just fine, but Yujo is here. The teleport's coming through. We'll see how this continues to go. Who's coming in? Proud is going to try and interrupt that teleport, though. Once has managed to get over the wall, but this is a big fight for AXIZ. They've got a kill onto Yujo, and it's a 1 for none. That is big news for AXIZ, who are getting stifled in this game. They're still down 6,000 gold, but that is something, and it's going to be a little bit of a mood lifter for a squad that was really struggling.
Jeez, that is, well, that was Yu-Gi-Oh! Partly out of position, partly also, I think, just Burning Core assumed they were going to delete one of the members of AXIZ before any form of follow-up was going to happen. Once kind of went very deep, was able to get himself out, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Was baited and outsmarted by his own teammates.
Once went looking, couldn't quite find it, and has to ult straight back out, and that Echo is really damn strong, but... still going to be a bit careful in the 1v3s, that's for sure. Speaking of 1v3 or at least 1v5 items, that Syndra has picked up a Spellbinder second. And honestly, I don't hate it. A Death Cap would be preferable, of course, but when you are kind of down in gold and you need power now, that one team fight with the massive burst of power you can get from a fully stacked Spellbinder makes sense. But he's going to need it right now because Burning Core are going for another one of their early aggressive Baron calls. And AXIZ just aren't here. They're going to be too late. It's gone.
They pinged question mark basically nearby, and then kind of was like, well, we don't have any vision. We're doing the smart thing. We can't do anything. Gadiadu had already used his blue ward. Ad had Unyan. Ad had Natsume, so they had no way of finding any way in there. And what can you do when the Baron is gone for you? This is an air rift. This is going to be a Baron play for the next 2 minutes, and Burning Core just almost don't seem phased that they lost the first team fight.
Not currently. Burning Core thinking about getting engaged on because that's a decent phase core, but the shutdown onto Yuhi is a massive deal. There's your Spellbinder damage, and the Kalista is dead. The re-engage now from Burning Core, and here comes Echo. What can he get done? Not a lot right now. The stopwatch has been burned by Hogler. He survives for now, but no, there comes the Chrono Break to secure that kill. It's 1-for-1. It's a double kill now for Echo, and once is running rampant, flashing from Rayfaki to get a kill. He's going to chase down the cat as well, but no, that is a decent attach onto the Syndra. It's not going to matter because it's a triple. It's a quadra kill for the Echo, and they'll run it back despite going one down early in that fight.
That was just phenomenally played by Watson, Rayfaki, and Yu-Gi-Oh just backing up. Proud didn't want to die, found so many spots to just kind of peel in and out, and oh my jeez, giddy odd Rayfaki, you just dealt so much damage that fight, as did you once. You're 5 levels above Hogler. Oh, 4, because he just leveled up before that fight. Oh, just this man in the jungle is trying to take the top spot away from Steel and Boogie and Blank. What is happening in the jungle? Are we having a renaissance in the jungle, sir? I have to ask the question.
Oh, it looked so good, didn't it?
Yeah.
But they get a great start. They get onto Proud, forces flash, kill Yuhi. It's all going well, and then look at the Echo, and Lord, man, the damage.
He just goes so low, but it's like, oh, wait, actually, that's not good, because Echo can just reset. Oh, he's also got a Baron buff. Yu-Gi-Oh taking so much damage here, pops that, and now Rayfaki's just basically 1v2ing. Oh, yeah, kill him. Oh, that's fine. I'll basically chunk down that. You can take that once. You can also take the next one. It's fine. You can take all the kills, it's fine, but that's the first quadra kill of the LJL summer because Arya was cheated out of it. So good on you, Once. You deserve it for the week you're having.
And it's not just Once doing damage, though, because it's good damage from the Echo and the Aatrox, but the real superstar there was Rayfaki putting out 6,000 plus damage in that team fight, obliterating the back end of that fight, especially considering it was a 4 bloody versus 5.
So
that's huge.
Do we technically give that quadra over to Rayfaki because Once just kind of KS'd him? Is that what we're saying here?
That sounds about right for the elo we play in, buddy. Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds
about
KS
right. In chat.
Yeah, oh yeah, KS. Oh, hard carried. Except you don't get the stats at the time. I want to highlight 3 members of that last fight out of the 4 still haven't died this whole game. Rayfaki, Once, and Proud, who all went extremely low in that team fight. Well, okay, except for Rayfaki, because this man only never dies or dies spectacularly. Just don't seem to be finding themselves in bad spots. I mean, it does make it easy when Once has a reset button on the ultimate, but what can AXIZ do? Initialize. What can they do? I know I'm the color, but I'm going to ask the play-by-play the question this time because I'm really not even sure myself now. That's why I'm asking.
We'll let the cynics run out of options. You got to hope. You got to dream, and you've got a Syndra with an item and with 2 items here that might get something. You got an Ezreal that's got 2 items. Maybe there's something there. Maybe Silas, now that he's got Zhonya's, might be able to find something. If you could shut down the Jace and the Echo because they go too deep, you get some CC and an Echo can't use ultimate in time. Maybe you get something there because a lot of that gold is on those top 2. So, I think that's just got to be a call, hasn't it?
So it's an 11k gold lead over for Burning Core. And Once, you know how I gave that crazy stat that at the very, very end of the game, Once had just barely hit that 5k gold lead above their against their opponent, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to know what he's done now? You want to know what he's done
Go
now?
on.
He was almost
I
up to
don't. I'm gonna
6k. It was almost up to 6k until the Baron play ended. He's above 5.3k, and Rayfarki is 4k.
Just one shot to death cap, by the way.
Yeah,
He one shot to death. That's a 1 versus 2 for Rayfark. He forces the Zonyas out of Hoglet. They're going to be a teleport. This is a 4 versus 2 now. Are you guys sure you want this? This is really damn aggressive. And Burning Core
they're
doing
just
Burning
taking
Core thinks they
mid
wanted
and
this fight.
top.
They don't anymore. Oh my days. But this could win the game. Once is here. He's got himself. He had that 5-level advantage for the longest time. The Nexus Towers were under siege and they lose the top lane tier 3. Yujo now in a 1v1, 4 levels up on this Silas, who's in a very difficult spot getting healing, but it's healing versus Aatrox with death dance. Are you sure you want that fight? Oh my days, the parallel convergence gets another kill for once. Who's chasing deep, who's looking for more. Hoglet still finally dies. He just doesn't have enough healing. And that'll be another 3 for Rayfarki still dead. Parauda's on the fountain. Once is thinking about going in. It'll be Kalista who picks that kill up, and Burning Core in stylish fashion with an Echo that picks up a death cap in 1 buy will find their way to a second victory in this week, having gone 0-2 in week 1.
What a phenomenal performance from once Rayfarki and the whole team of Burning Core. Phenomenal performance, and if they keep this momentum up, they damn well will be a playoff team in contention for a spot. That was incredible. But we're going to go away for a very short break while we compose ourselves again after that phenomenal performance, really. And we're going to have Nymera kind of reset us a little bit. So, after this short break, we'll be right back.
I'm incomplete. I need you here tonight to cover up this empty sheets. 'Cause I'm
breathe you in like oxygen. Oh, in an otherwise suffocating world, I'm reaching out for arms, I'm drowning in the open-ended love we're making, girl. Exhale the past, inhale a future that lasts. Change my heart, change my mind. For the last time, wanna believe in the life I've led. I don't wanna leave another word unsaid. You know my heart will follow you tomorrow.
Hello, and welcome back to our post-match segment, this time for AXIZ versus Burning Core. One thing which I've loved about the LJL and casting it this year has been the predominant jungle talent. And we talk about Blank, we talk about Boogie, we talk about Steel as well. But Sam, I'm going to go over to you first. Does Once now fit into that pool?
Told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. That man loves his 1v9. It punishes him occasionally. We know what he's like when he goes to fights and it doesn't work out. You got a reset button on Echo, though, and when you go up 5 levels, 1 shot per death cap, go 8-0 and 3, be 6,000 plus gold ahead of your opponent. Yeah, you have a right to be put up there with Blank and Steel and the rest of the boys.
And worth noting that with that game, 8 kills, that is the second most kills any player has had in a single game of the LJL this split. Of course, the first place would be Arya with that 12 kill casting, which we do hark back to quite a lot. Another player, however, on Burning Core is Ray Farkey, of course. And like you were talking about how you wanted to see Ray Farkey on something like an Aatrox, something like a bit more carry-oriented. He picked up the Jace. How do you think he did?
I hope Ace takes notes from Ray Farkey with his Jace,
Oof.
because
There you go.
I mean, it's not even flaming, because Ray Farkey just had a dominant performance from dying at almost giving over that first blood, then in response says, "That's nice. I'm gonna take your turret first, max plate, get it over everything over you. I'm also gonna kill you in a 1v1, and then promptly." Just basically have full control. Give full control to once to basically play around mid. Well, actually, allow Yu-Gi-Oh! To have a very kind lane in the mid lane, and then just allow the rest of it. Ray Farkey, this man is just so good. So good.
Yeah. Okay, we'll keep on the Burning Core topic a little bit more, because you did obviously hark over to Yu-Gi-Oh! Himself. Picked up a bit of a weird pick. I'll let you know one little fact. There has only been one other Aatrox mid game across the top and merging regions this split, and that was from Forge in the LPL, plays for Vici, and they lost with that against Team WE. So, Sam, what did you think of Yu-Gi-Oh's impact on this game, particularly because we were talking about Gadiadu as the star player for AXIZ?
I think what it offers, specifically the Aatrox, is it's a pick which isn't going to get blown up by the Syndra. It allowed the kind of switcheroo, the bait and switch of the Jace to the top lane, and it allowed a 1-3-1 option where they could throw the Aatrox in the side lane, have him dash around. And I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't the star carry, but didn't need to be. Survived lane, went down some CS, but it's kind of expected. And I think it was more the draft flexibility it brought that threw AXIZ for a loop, and I that's good credit to Burning Core and to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, it's also worth noting that Syndra has something like a 3.1 AP ratio over a full combo if you have to have a 5-ball ult. If you get stacked up on that champion, it is ridiculously high burst. So congrats to Yu-Gi-Oh! For actually surviving that, and not just surviving it, but actually coming back and doing pretty well in that lane and team fights. Someone who did less well, though, was Hoglet. We talked about him being struggling this split. He struggled in the early split in spring as well. He picked up Silas Jungle. We've seen Silas Jungle banned a couple. Well, we've seen Silas banned a couple of times across spring, normally against Arya in that mid lane. He's only played one time Silas Jungle in LJL spring. What did you make of this pick, Lexi?
Oh God! I mean, if this was Hoglet, this is Hoglet's day job, so I can't tell him to don't quit his day job, because that Silas was just, there were so many good picks. It was one of the last rotation. I just don't understand why he picked it there. It doesn't make sense for the team comp, really. It doesn't make it's not a carry jungler, which is what I was expecting them to pick up. When you get a Yumi's great with carries, and I just don't think it fits fully into what they're trying to do.
I think that Silas is not a carry jungler when he gets so far behind from the likes of a really bad top 2v2. Sam, talk me through what happened there.
So we saw the first blood turnaround onto Natsume over on the official stream, where effectively what happened was Natsume got a big health bar advantage versus Ray Farkey, desperately went in, and once was there for the counter gag to turn it around. And with the early Rift Herald pickup for once as well, basically they roamed Yu-Gi-Oh! Up, they roamed Proud up as well, and forced down the first tower and all plates onto Ray Farkey, and stole all of Hoglet's jungle, with Proud picking up the Silas from the bush where Proud didn't back away, so they get a kill onto the Silas, they steal his jungle, they take away the top lane turret, and it means that Hoglet can no longer go into his blue side jungle. Natsume has lost pressure in the lane, has already died to that first blood, has got down in CS as well, and that whole sort of sequence of events put the top 2v2 into an absolutely awful position.
Yeah, it put it into a lot of disarray. And so speaking of, this Silas, and speaking, it's normally a stable pick of the likes of Arya. We've seen it a couple of times. Well, I mean, I remember seeing it back in summer last year in the jungle a little bit, but it hasn't been seen for a little while. So it is a new pick. Another new pick, well, going back up to Burning Core, is Yuhi. He's found something which isn't Aphelios to get a win on. He's found Callista. We talked about it earlier in the day. Feel free, either of you, to answer this. What did you make of Yuhi's role in the Burning Core team comp?
I think it was fine. It was useful. Though because of the highest priority that is on Kalista at the moment, because she is such a good champion at the moment, especially into Ezreal comp specifically, I wouldn't get too hopeful that you're going to see it a lot. If I was on Burning Core's side, it's a champion you will have to ban on your side if you're on red or blue side, as well, specifically on blue side a lot. So it's good that he can play this. It's good to know that he is capable of playing this, and when it comes up in spots, it's going to be important. We do need to see that champion pool slightly expand more as well. It's good to see this, and it's good to see this moving forward, as long as we see this is a trend from Yuhi.
Well, important things to keep an eye on then. Another thing to keep your eyes on, dear viewer, is that we have one more game remaining. It's going to be AXIZ trying to pick up the pieces from their loss right now. And they're going to be staring down a Dead Nation Focus Me. Stick around. We'll see you soon.